Blake Lawrence, and today I'm joined by a few of my colleagues from Agile Analytics, and we're going to be demonstrating some of the new and interesting features from Power BI. So today we're joined by Artyom, and we've got Rowan and Natalie. And first up we have Natalie, so I'll hand over to you, Natalie, to demonstrate your first piece.
Yes, thank you, Blake. So I'm going to talk about Power BI update, which is, I think it's a nice one, interesting one, and makes the visualization more intuitive for the end users and basically makes life easier for them. So let's share my screen and get into it. So yes, the update I'm going to talk about is about reverse stack order for stack column charts. Let's have a look by an example on this one. This is a stack column chart that I can put here. And based on the data, so what I'm going to do, I'll put a start of month on x-axis. And then what I want to add else, for example, total returns, I'll add that one to y-axis. And excellent. What else I want to add? I want to add category name, which is here as a legend. So what's the update for this one? As you can see here, we have columns stacked on top of each other, strictly positive columns. And then we have legend that comes at the top. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the legend position into top left. So what happens here when you look at this chart, as you can see, the legend coloring is come from orange, navy, blue. But when you look at the column charts, it's come from blue, navy, and orange. What it seems that the order is reversed. In new release, what we can do about this is that you can go to the columns section, and by default, reverse stack order is off. If you turn this one on, then what you see is that, yes, you see exactly the ordering of the columns stacked on top of each other comes like orange, navy, and blue, like as you can see in the legend in the left-hand side, which, I mean, it's more intuitive for the end user when you look at the report like this. What else that we have in this release is that, for example, this feature is for stacked bar charts, I think combo charts, and there are a couple of different charts that this feature is has been activated for them. I had another look by bringing a bar chart, like testing that one in a bar chart. So if we want to test with this one and we go like a start of month and then like total returns and then category name. Yeah, what happens here is that, as you can see, even if I don't activate that default setting for the stacked bar charts, it seems it is working perfectly fine, even without activating that feature. So yes, the benefit is more evident in the stacked column charts when I compare to the stacked bar charts, but from my point of view, a user-friendly feature, intuitive, interesting one, so you can enjoy. That's all from my side, and now over to you, Rohan. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Natalie. So I'll be talking about one of the most hyped feature that has come up in the new October release. So I'll be talking about the quick measure suggestions feature. So I'll just quickly share my screen and we can get started. All right, so are you guys able to see my screen? So this quick measure suggestions feature, so this is in a preview feature right now. So in order to use this, definitely you have to first enable it. So how you can do it is you can just go into options and settings, and you can go to options. They have a section for preview feature, and then we just have to turn this on, quick measure suggestions. And this is step one. And the step two is you also need to ensure that you restart your system after you do that. And there is a setting that needs to be enabled by a Power BI admin also. So this feature has been deployed into the US data centers. So that is why by default, they have disabled it in across all the other regions. So to use this feature, if you go to admin settings, you might see something like this in your tenant settings, where it highlights that since this is natural query language being used, the data will be sent out to US data center. So if you're concerned about your data privacy or something, then it is best not to use this feature at the moment. But if you still want to try it out, you need to enable this. So once this feature is enabled, we can quickly, if we have all our table, I have pulled in a simple table over here. So I've got my countries, I've got my products, and across different years, what are my sales for this products. So if I want to try out this quick measure feature, I can simply right click and say new quick measure. And now you see these are the default quick measures that we already had. And whereas the suggestions is the new feature. So this is pretty much similar to the Q&A feature that we had. So how you can get started is you can simply start typing out, like if I want to see like total sales for Canada, so I can just simply put sales for Canada. So if I put this and if I click generate, it scans through it and then it quickly creates a measure over here. So if you see this number is matching over here, so that means this measure is pretty much working. So what all the different types of measures that you can try out over here, you can try out the different aggregation measures, which is sum, min, max, division, all those basic functions can be done. It also can be used to test time intelligence measures. You can try out if and or operators. So quite a lot of functions can be experimented over here. But like I said, this is still in preview mode, and when I did some testing on it, there were a lot of issues that I observed that were not giving the correct DAX measure. So it is very important that you validate what this measure is doing and confirm that the syntax is right and it is giving the right result. You cannot simply rely on this. So if I can give operators also over here, like sales for Canada in 2014. So if I say generate, I can, it adds another filter where year is equal to 2000 filter Canada. And yeah, so you see the measure is working fine. But if I have to say like top product in top product by, let's say, sales in France. So let's see how we get over here, what we get over here. So it is giving a top 10, showing the top 10, and it is concatenating all the products, and it does seem to give it fine. But one of my observation is that it did not work for the bottom end or minimum products. So that is something that still needs to be worked upon. And another interesting feature that I observed is like if you have a measure created, like for instance, I've created a total sales measure, then I can the suggestions also recognizes this measure. Like if I say total sales for Germany. So if you see, it brings in my measure. It does not sum up the sales column. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, so overall, what I feel is this measure this feature will be in Power BI will keep on improving on it every year. And we just have to be careful before relying on this. And we also have the quick measure feature, Q&A feature, which is really cool. And I believe that can be used instead of this for now if you want to get quick results. So yeah, that's regarding this feature. I'll hand over to Artyom now to discuss about the next feature.
Yeah, thanks, Rohan. Well, my thoughts about these measure suggestions is kind of it's cool, but as you mentioned, we must be very careful about that because it can generate quick measures like simple measures that you can use. But I think in the case when you have a little bit of complexity in your model and in your business logic, it may generate something that will give you wrong results in some particular scenarios. So I would say that probably it's a good thing to learn DAX, like an experimenting and thinking what that suggestion will be. But if you don't 100% understand each and every row of that code, I would suggest not using that in production environments.
Yeah, potentially a good accelerator, but not, yeah, you should never be implementing DAX that you don't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very useful if you have, to showcase on KPIs or short visuals, then using these simple DAX formulas, they are working really fine. But usually that's not the scenarios in our reports, like it's usually complex measures. So in that case, it's definitely very important to know what syntax and what DAX functions are being used.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me share my screen and I will talk about a couple of interesting things, mostly related to the modeling view in Power BI Desktop. So the highlight number one that I want to talk about is relationship editing, which now is available in Properties pane. So this is a preview feature, and again, you must activate it from Options Preview menu section. What it does, actually, previously when you had to edit your relationships, you had to double-click your relationship and you could do whatever you want in this relationship editor. Now it's even easier with the new feature. So all you need to do is just clicking on your relationship and you will see relationship properties in this pane. Actually, you have all the same information. You've got tables, columns, and you can change them. You can change cardinality of your relationship, make it active or inactive, and change the direction. Then you click Apply Changes, and your changes are applied. So this is cool, just saving you a couple of clicks to get the editor. Thing number two I want to talk about is small one, but very nice. And so DAX formula bar is now finally available in model view. So what I'm talking about, when you had to write some DAX, for example, in reporting view, when you had to create a measure, you could easily do that. Or if you need to edit your measure, you just see your DAX code here. In this formula bar. Also, you could do the same in the data view, and you could edit your calculated table DAX or again your measure. But before October update, we could not do that in model view, which is pretty strange because it's a kind of natural. So you have tables, you have measures, you always wanted to click that and see the code. Well, finally now it's available. So whatever measure or whatever object you click which contains DAX code, you can see it in model view. So this is update number 2 that I wanted to talk about. Now, the third feature is not really an October update. It was not announced as an October update, but it was released approximately that time, and several people wrote articles about that. I think it's very important to know, so I will give you a quick demo. So I'm talking about auto aggregation in Power BI tables. What is auto aggregation? When you create a table, Power BI detects the format of that of your columns, and if your columns are aggregatable, like whole numbers, currency, decimals, whatever, it will apply auto aggregation to the columns. And you see these signs next to some columns in my table. Here, which means that auto-aggregation is enabled for those columns. That means if you drag that column in your visuals, they may be auto-aggregated by Power BI. Sometimes it may be good, but if you have your dimension, and in this example, I've got years. So no one ever wants to add years, right? So just adding 2020, 2022 does not make any sense, but Power BI applied auto-aggregation for this field because it's just numeric. And you can definitely switch it off. You can just select your columns and go to properties. In advanced properties, you can click summarize and select no. And that will remove aggregation. But now when you create a relationship and make your table a dimension, Power BI detects that and removes that auto-aggregation automatically. So I will do that right now. I have this calendar too for demo purposes. I'm creating a relationship, and you will see now all auto-aggregation has been disabled, which is good. Like in dimensions, we usually don't want to see any automatically aggregated columns. Now, if you still need to switch it back on, you can do that. Well, of course, it doesn't make sense, but I will just show you that if I have a column in dimensions that I want still to be auto-aggregated, I can select it, go to summarize by property and pick the aggregation I want. So for example, max, or I can do something else. So this is one behavior that I think people who work with Power BI must be aware of. And the second one related to that, when you have a snowflake, so that behavior will be slightly different. Like when I create, right now I have this auto aggregation for my dimension because it is an old model. It was created when it was not still available, this feature. But now if I try to edit relationships, the same logic will work. So you see auto aggregation were disabled. Now, if I have a snowflake, that will work in a different way. So you see, I created these relationships with a dimension, filtering it by something else. And in this case, auto aggregation will come back, but only for columns not included in my relationships. So this geography key is part of the relationship, and that's why the aggregation for it was disabled. But because I have a snowflake, so Power BI did not switch off auto aggregation for all other columns in this table. Again, if I remove this relationship, and my stores table will remain as an independent dimension, all auto aggregation will be disabled. So this is interesting behavior which happens in the background. So I think as a Power BI users, consultants, whoever work with Power BI, we need to be aware that something is happening automatically, and this auto aggregation behavior, we just need to be aware of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me.
Awesome, thanks, Artem. That makes a lot of sense, I guess, for it to automatically flick off the aggregations on the dimension tables. I guess is one tedious little thing just to kind of clean up automatically, which is cool.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, thanks Natalie, Rowan, Artem for demonstrating these new features, and for the people watching, we've not covered every new feature, so please make sure you refer to the monthly Power BI release articles in addition to these recordings. Otherwise, that's it from us today. Thank you very much for watching, and from the Agile Analytics team, we'll see you next month. Thanks, bye.